Peace.
Peace.
This is Joshua Law, Mr. PhD. You're just now entering the cipher called Real to Real 360. K-Wise.
Peace, God.
Bring that beat in, kid.
Indeed.
Peace.
Yeah. What's going on, party people? Welcome to the Real to Real 360 show. Let's get it in.
We do the knowledge and wisdom so you can understand. Real to Real 360 shows in full command. We changing the game for how it all was taught. From bondage to freedom to an independent thought. Yo, the show is here to bring about a change for real. To lighten everyone so we all know the deal. 360 degrees is a fact. We created the show to give our love back to our communities so we can know what's going on and give them the support from knowledge to born. So if you're ready to learn, then it's time to go. Sit back and relax and enjoy the show. Peace.
Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. This is DJ K-Wise. And you are with my co-host, Joshua Allah, a.k.a. Mr. PhD. And we welcome you to the Real to Real 360 show. Peace and blessings, my brother. How you be?
Peace, God. How you, man? How you?
It's been one of those days. It's been one of those days, been one of those yesterdays too, but it's all good now, you know.
Right. Looking forward to the day. We had a great day yesterday. You know what I mean? Just what it was. We had a great day. L.A. Jackson came in. He was really informative about the music industry, how a lot of people left a lot of money on the table, you know what I'm saying, during the transition of music from albums, CDs, you know what I'm saying, to the ringtones and everything else. So it was really informative, you know, for those who are in the music industry or who was interested in the music industry. Today, we have a real informing, real special individual today that's going to come on in a few. We just finished speaking with him. So we're anticipating his arrival in a few minutes, and he's one of these individuals that's very outspoken, stand up for himself, and it has been standing up for individuals in his area as well. He's a TV icon that we some people have grown up watching, if they're into the reality TV series and things like that. So we're looking forward to having this man on.
Absolutely. And just to set the record straight, he is an actual what he is. There's no commercializing, no actorization in it. He is a bona fide and certified in his craft of what he did as far as his career and his time.
Right.
I remember watching certain episodes where, boy, he was laying it down. He was laying it down on this one brother, and because the one brother got a little bit disrespectful, and he did it so calmly and eloquently. It was just dynamic. The ratings went off the roof, and I'm up there just sitting back laughing like, wow, man, he just shut him down with so much class, basically. You know what I'm saying? And you know, it could have went a whole nother way, but just to show you the intelligence and the wisdom of this man as he maintained his poise and controlled his environment, and let it be known that I am who I am and you're not gonna move me, you know. So that was a blessing. And like we said, we just waiting on the arrival and everything. We got a comment.
Yeah, that's my daughter, Mom's.
Okay.
Yeah, from my daughter, my Yankee hat. Yeah, that's my daughter, Mom.
Indeed. Well,
Yeah.
what I'm gonna do, G, I'm gonna just lay back for a minute. I'm gonna do some behind the scenes work. So if y'all see me come out, you know, I'm gonna take care of some stuff, and we'll be right back in exact.
Oh, right, exactly. Um, like I said, you know, peace to everyone. Peace. Yeah, this nice hat from my baby girl. Right here, I wear it on every show. You know what I mean? That's to let her know that, you know what I mean, I'm always thinking about her. I keep her with me. And how special she is to me. So this hat right here is from my daughter when I went out to Indianapolis to go visit her. And that was cool. Peace. It's crazy because I can't see the names because it just comes up as Facebook users. So peace, whoever shouted us out. Um, and I appreciate it. And like I said, yesterday was very intense, and it was very enlightening. Got an opportunity to really speak with L.A. Jackson, who have been a Sony CEO, of marketing, worked in marketing with Sony, and it was definitely what I mean who it is. Peace to the God now. See, peace strong. How y'all doing? Um, we definitely keeping everything going, and we're making sure everything is gonna always be right and exact. Making sure that we want to keep everything going in this point in time. But we definitely got some shows lined up. Just booked Lakim Shabazz, which is one of the great icons of hip hop. If you grew up in the '80s, you knew that what I'm saying it was all about the God MCs, and he was definitely one of them. And I'm looking forward to having that bill with him on the interview. Um, it should be real peace. You know what I mean? But also too, want to say like we've lost Infinite Al Jamal, and that has left a mark on the God Earth Nation at this point in time. So I know a lot of people are grieving. So we're gonna do our best to ensure that when it comes on, when we come out, we're gonna represent Infinite Al Jamal on April 6th. It's his homegoing service out in Medina. Get with Queen I Bear Witness for exact location or a law school for exact location. But I know for an actual fact it's April 2nd for those who are attending his services. Um, right now, just striving to make sure everything gets put up together, and we're making it happen. Making it happen. But that's funny. But hey, Tanya, tell her, what I'm saying? You tell her I'm wearing the hat. I'm always wearing the hat for her. You know what I mean? That's interesting. How she get over here? Um, yeah, but it would be like I said, it's definitely gonna be interesting. I think Kay is trying to help the Judge Joe Brown log in to. She's watching me. Peace, baby. This is me. Yeah, I'm always wearing this hat, Princess. Thank you. Thank you. Uh, right now, just waiting on Judge Joe Brown to come on, and yeah, I want to thank my baby for making sure I got this hat. You know, it's funny. What I'm saying, when you spend time with your children and you think you cool, they let you know you ain't cool. I thought my Kango hat was what it was, and she let me know. So we got an opportunity to hang out and chill, which was beautiful. You know, and I miss my baby girl every day. You know what I mean? Really do. She's such a beautiful young lady. She's such a beautiful young lady, real smart. Real smart, real athletic. You know, what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah. She's definitely top five. She's definitely a top five. She is D1. You know what I mean? She is the baby. She's the baby of the Bashan tribe, the youngest of the Mays babies. So what I mean. I always, every day, I try to hit her up, see how she doing, to talk to her. But those who know me, know I talk about her all the time and how pretty she is, how smart she is. You know what I mean? It ain't no mystery. You know what I mean? And on top of that, her mom is doing a great job with. I can't complain about that. You know what I mean? She's definitely, you know what I'm saying, raising her to be a good young lady, and we're co-parenting pretty good. So that's something that I think a lot of people don't realize, that co-parenting is major when it comes down to raising children. That you have to be on the same page. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you have to put egos and emotions aside to make things happen. You know what I mean? And I appreciate that. You know, I don't have those issues where I can't contact my child, I can't go see her. You know what I mean? None of that. So, and sometimes you have to, you're gonna be like a friend. It's like the relationship part, you know what I'm saying, is dead, but the friendship is dead. And you know what I mean? It's cool. It's cool. You know what I mean? So we're trying to get everything together. And I see Mr. L.A. Jackson is popping in. Welcome, 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 Mr. Jack. Mr. Jackson, how you doing?
Yes, sir. What's happening?
Man, nothing much, man, nothing much. I was just
Good to
talking
see you
about you
again,
like
brother.
5 minutes. I was talking about you about 5 minutes before my daughter jumped on here. And
Wow. Okay.
yeah, it was crazy. I was talking to him about how a lot of people lost a lot of money during that period in time when music had transitioned. You know, from the I guess the 8 track cassette tape CDs and things of that nature. And we make sure that hold on one second. I think we have the man, the myth, on right now. The
Remember,
man is on. Good afternoon, good evening,
what?
Mr. Judge Joe
Remember what?
Brown.
Very well, it's Judge Joe.
The
That's a
judge.
title.
The
You're
Yes,
not
sir.
honorable.
Mr. and Judge. That's like saying Mr. Doctor, so
Yes, sir.
kind of redundant. But anyway, what you sent me was a screenshot of the link, so I had to enter it manually. So
Okay.
I'm here.
We
Took a little
again,
while.
I appreciate
pardon
you.
ourselves, Judge. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, the electrifying, magnanimous man of the hour. I had a pleasure of interviewing him before on another platform within our Livation Nation family, and let me tell you, he was straight up, no chaser. I mean, and when he gave you the truth, he showed you the truth. Not only talked about it, but he even gave you encouragement to make sure that you continue to do what you do right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you none other than the unconquerable, honorable Judge Joe Brown. Thank you for coming to our show, sir.
Well, I guess the judge is in the house.
Yes,
Good evening.
sir. Judge Joe Brown. I saw a video clip of you discussing you were the last judge on the James Earl Ray case, and you said
That's
all the
correct.
evidence that was pointing toward that he was not the one that actually shot or killed Martin Luther King.
He
Is that
wasn't
true?
even in Memphis on. He wasn't even in Memphis on the day it
Wow,
happened.
wow.
Memphis
Unbelievable.
Homicide Squad for Memphis Police Department was adamant he wasn't the one, but this crooked DA's office we've had around here for more than a half century insisted. And there were some other people that were complicit. What happened is the FBI set it up. They supplied the weapons, the ammunition, and recruited the two shooters. There were two-man team. One was a spotter, one was a shooter.
Hmm.
Most likely, they came from the Marine Sniper School in Quantico, Virginia, where the FBI base training academy is located. So they recruited two people. They supplied some experimental M21s at the time, known as XM21s, which were accurized M14s with special barrels on them. The ballistics of the bullet they pull out of King's body precisely match the ballistics of those special barrels. The ammunition 5,000 rounds of which the FBI got on inventory from the Defense Department in late December 1967, along with 5 rifles, the serial numbers of which I have stowed away from the invoices. Everything matches up. So does the bullet they pull out of King's body. So in late April 1968, the Defense Department, having made demands of the Justice Department to return the weapons, the FBI was ordered to return them. They conducted an inventory and claimed they lost one. That's the murder weapon. But you'll never find it.
No.
And everybody that was a detective on it agrees that there was a setup. The FBI never interviewed anybody at the fire station. The shot did not come from the bushes nor the flop house. Flop house window wouldn't even open up far enough for a rifle to be used, and the bushes were right under the flop house window. And the reason people think the shot came from there is the sound echoed from the front of the Lorraine Motel, and the echo goes right back there. We did some experimentation. And there was somebody on the inside working that looks like it was Reverend Billy Kyles at the time, because the FBI was blackmailing him.
Unbelievable.
So that's the conclusion on that. Probably you'll never know who the actual shooters were, because they were military personnel. They probably had just gotten back from the NAM, and squeezing the trigger with the crosshairs on somebody was nothing new, and they were probably told what was being said a great deal at that time: get rid of this communist agent who is threatening the country. And by the way, they did not give a damn about civil rights, and head up civil rights did not occur because of people protesting and marching. It occurred because you had some smart black lawyers like Thurgood Marshall and some decent appellate court judges, and you had a bunch of black folk that were burning down cities, 1964, 5, 6, and 67, and again in 68. And King was a footnote in history at that time until they killed him, and they had internal memoranda discussing whether he would be more dangerous as a live galvanizer for the anti-war movement and revitalizer for labor. They didn't give a damn about civil rights. They didn't care. It had already been passed into law and effectuated by those two, the lawyers and the black folk that had had enough and took to the streets and started burning cities down. I had the task one time when I was an intern with a DC think tank. One of the assignments was with 2 or 3 other people. We had to go over the congressional record to glean what they considered to pass the Civil Rights Bill in 1964, 67, voting rights, 67, 68, whole 9 yards. And out of 60,000 some pages, there were maybe 4.5 that concerned themselves with demonstrations, and the rest of them was, why are the Negroes burning the towns down? And we got to stop this. And also, interestingly enough, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 is not labeled that. It's a defense act. And it says, whereas the United States is engaged in a life or death struggle with the forces of totalitarianism and communism throughout the world, and whereas the troops and personnel of the United States military branches are the first line of defense, whereas they have been long integrated, whereas morale is important, and whereas base commanders cannot enforce fair treatment for their personnel and the families of the personnel, be it resolved that this Civil Rights Act is needed. And that's how Johnson got a much stronger bill than the weak nonsense Kennedy introduced passed. He said, this year, you're going to give the Negroes what they want. And It's a defense bill, and I'm going to embarrass you and make you into the worst commie-loving SOB I can manage back home if you vote against it. That's how it got passed.
Wow.
Wow.
Your Honor, let me ask this along with that real quick, and then we'll speed up the narrative. Why do you think, why would it have taken so long, and how come this major evidence that you have brought to light has never really
Well,
been?
I can tell you very quickly, I anticipate what you're going to say, because Congress had the villains investigating themselves. Now, we got a lot of memoranda under the Freedom of Information Act that various legal teams introduced. It was in the record, probably removed and destroyed now, because the current district attorney in Memphis, Tennessee, Amy Wyrick, is nothing but a filthy crook. And she's trying to become the first female governor of Tennessee, and she needs to be in a prison instead of in a governor's house or in the DA's office. So we've had a long history of corruption in the district attorney's office in Memphis, Tennessee. It is, in fact, the first-degree murder capital of America. And I'm not talking about street crimes. I'm talking about organized white-collar homicides.
Wow.
She covers for her buddies in the country club set when they commit these things, to take out husbands and business partners who've fallen by the wayside, or organized crime when they've got somebody that they've run through here and they want to get rid of. This is the place to do it.
Wow.
Wow. Also, Mr. Joe Brown, I noticed that in another conversation of Bill Cosby being arrested and then being released on appeal, and then they tried to figure out whether they was going to try to retrial him.
The Supreme Court of that state said, back the devil off. Those prosecutors in that office need to be in jail. They violated Cosby's civil rights. They made a travesty of the Bill of Rights. I said from the very beginning, before they even went to trial, it's dead in the water because of Fifth Amendment considerations. Mr. Cosby, or Dr. Cosby's lawyers, asserted the Fifth Amendment on his behalf during the course of the civil proceedings. The civil trial judge said, I agree. You can't go against him and then make him make a statement against his interests. See, in a civil case, you can compel the defendant to give evidence against himself, but not in a criminal matter.
Right.
So the civil judge said, this is going nowhere. And then the district attorney's office came in and said, we agree not to prosecute Mr. Cosby. We've had the police do an intensive investigation, and there's absolutely nothing to it. Well, that's the end of it right there, because the civil judge says, all right, since there's no criminal liability, you under civil law are compelled to answer the interrogatories and the depositions. And he did. He admitted he did certain things, but denied committing any kind of rape and said it was voluntary. Well, there was a new DA, and the new DA, who was an ignorant ass, completely oblivious to constitutional requirements, said, we're not bound by my predecessor's agreement. Well, I said, yes, you are. The state Supreme Court said, yes, you are. And the damn fool coward who was the trial judge went with the mob justice, and it looks like his wife wasn't going to fuck him anymore if she didn't get what she wanted, because she was an avid feminist and she wanted him prosecuted with this hashtag Me Too garbage. Now, they've got a cause that's interesting, just like BLM has, but it's been corrupted into something else, into an anti-man thing, an anti-masculinity, destruction with the nuclear family movement, both of them. So it is what it is, and the state Supreme Court let him out, and unfortunately, Mr. Cosby had to spend a whole lot more time in a prison than he ought to have spent. He should have been allowed to remain free on bond pending the outcome of the appeal, but the bastard that was sitting up in the Batcave on the bench wanted to satisfy his little freak ass wife, so he said, bond revoked, you go in and start serving your time, which brings us to this punk ass Juicy Jesse that has been benefited by this LGBTQ cult nonsense that swept Chicago from Lightfoot and Kim Fox, who are in bed with it. And Kim Fox ought to be prosecuted and turned out of office at the very least at the next election. She lied and hasn't delivered on police reform that she promised when she campaigned for that office. And she was having lunch and dinner with Smollett's family. And she recused herself because of the appearance of impropriety, but she put herself back on the case to dismiss the charges. Technically, it's called null prost, or nulla prosequi, which means to desist in the prosecution and let him apply a bond so jeopardy would attach. But they found some charges that weren't embraced, so they went after him for them. They had him on VidCam at a costume shop during Halloween week with the two Nigerians buying that noose. They had security cameras on the night in question, and in the footage from them, you see Smollett putting the noose on his own neck after the Nigerians took off when a car came by.
Wow.
And, it's a big farce. And what was he doing? Well, the punk ass sissy was trying to get some notoriety as a LGBTQ cult hero. And additionally, by marriage, Kamala Harris is his auntie. So he was conspiring with Kamala Harris, who he met with earlier that day and had been with most of the week, and Cory Booker, so they could take a bill that Conyers introduced as the gay rights bill back in 1997 off the table, where it had been put over and over in Congress. And they attempted to get it passed as the anti-lynch bill. Now it has passed as the Emmett Till anti-lynch bill. It doesn't do a damn thing for black folk. Doesn't even hardly mention us in there. And there hasn't been a lynching in 50 years, 40 years, except an occasional just random homicide that might look like that. And what it is it's a gay rights bill. So just wowee whoopee. So they ought to go investigate it, and they ought to snatch Kamala Harris's ass and Cory Booker's ass and prosecute them for conspiring to do what they did. Now, his family was saying, well, it's just a nonviolent something. Yeah, but you're trying to not just do what is the ordinary case when somebody makes a false claim. Usually that involves one individual. I don't like him, or I don't like her, or whatever the case may be. But this fool was trying to take on and cripple the whole system of public peace, dignity, and order. And to get a cult, the LGBTQ cult, home free on some bullshit legislation that they're crippling black folk with and riding on our backs in order to get passed. Now, I don't have anything against the gay boy or girl getting their freak on in their bedroom. That's their business. But you see, LGBTQ is a cult. And the significance is this. These things you cannot discriminate against anyone with for race, color, national origin, sex, age, medical condition, and the last one is religion. Now, all of the rest of them are status situations that you cannot control. Religion, there is control over that in a fashion, but not much, because mama takes child in diapers to synagogue, church, or mosque, and by the time that child is sub-teen, he's been brainwashed so he or she can't question the religion. So what they want to do is, using their transvestite sickos, cross-dressers, they want to talk to the 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds in public libraries, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-year-olds in school, and read to them. They dress them up as mamas, but with a negative twist to it, because they make the female look like a harlot the way they dress up. So child psychology, human child psychology is clear that children, boy and girl, are most responsive to a female figure until they get about 8 years old. So these children in their formative years are brainwashed by a female figure that doesn't get them just on Sunday, but gets them on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, every day of the week, to brainwash them until they are now subject to the strictures of a secular religion. You can't teach a religion in a public school, but you can teach a secular religion, LGBTQ cult religion, in school. And by the way, a lot of gay folk don't like LGBTQ. They think it's a cult because they don't have any problem with the nuclear family. A lot of them turn gay because they got victimized by some pedophile pervert that seems to be a protected category for this cult. And the Black Caucus in D.C. is just surrogates for that cult, and a lot of them are secret members because they are practitioners. They did the Q thing, which in that LGBTQ stands for questioning and queer, and they question, and now they don't want to be brought out of their little closets. So you've got that, and too many of them in Congress are masquerading that way because all they support is LGBTQ and nothing black. And by the way, you should look up your Black Caucus members in D.C. and you will find that's just about all they support is LGBTQ nonsense and some poverty frou-frou. You've got Bernie Kustoff from the 8th district that goes from East Memphis all the way up to Jackson, Tennessee, and you'll find all he pushes is Jewish and gay stuff. And you have Steve Cohen, who has been elected over and over again for the 9th district here in Memphis, which is 92% black, and you'll find all he votes for is gay stuff and Jewish stuff, nothing black except the little poverty frou-frou. And his main claim to fame, for example, is a piece of legislation that binds the congressional cafeteria into using only paper straws. So, I mean, what the hell? You see this thing in Mason, Tennessee. What the dodge is there is the Black Caucus in Tennessee did a little bit of good work, finished up at 11 o'clock last night. They jumped his ass, the comptroller, and said, hey, look, Mason has its charter from the legislature. You can't touch it. And by the way, Jackass and Chief Biden and company have put some money out, recovery stuff. We're going to use that to pay off this debt to the state treasury. And by the way, some of these people that are responsible for getting Mason into debt need to be prosecuted, and the money needs to be gotten from them. Now, what's going on in Mason? Mason wants the factory, the Ford factory. The Ford factory is going to be located 12 miles from Mason. Mason has 5,600 residents. 62% of them are black. Now, here's why they want it. They have a water outlet and a sewage input location that they would have to redo to develop it. Now, Ford's going to bring in 27,500 employees, and most of them are going to come from out of state or at least out of the area. When you say 2 out of every 3 of those employees on average are going to have a family, that means that they're going to be 3-4 people for each employee, which dictates a town that's going to spring up between 75 and 100,000 people, because you'll have to bring in Kroger's and Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, department stores, movie theaters, fast food, all that other stuff. So you're talking about a city, small city, bigger than Jackson, Tennessee, and the Turley Belt, Smith, Fogelman bunch down here in Memphis is going to be buying up all the real estate they can and getting the contracts to build a huge factory, and also a town that will spring up overnight to house upwards of 100,000 people. That's billions of dollars.
Are we looking at gentrification?
Well, no gentrification because there's nothing but agricultural land there now.
Okay.
5,600 people, and you're going to expand the 5,600 into close to 100,000 in 5 to 10 years. You need a whole city. So the same clowns that, well, the crooks down here that have been getting the same kind of contracts that have caused the gentrification, where they, without any considerations of urban planning, are just displacing certain folk, and they're trying to build low income and Section 8 housing within a mile or so, half a mile of upscale, middle class, and above areas to drive the people out when the burglaries and crime starts out. I have a place in Memphis, and I've got one in Germantown, and within 5 minutes walk, 3 or 4 minutes jog of where I live, they just put in some 4,200 apartment complex units, which are small and cheesy. Look okay from the outside, but we've already had 4 shootings in the last month and a half. And there's a black middle class suburb not far away where they built some up. And like one guy said, Joe, man, look, I've been over here for 23 years, never had a problem, man, until just the last 3.5 years. I've been hit 4 times, man. He said, what the hell is going on? And then see, they used to have all these restaurants up and down Winchester, and so many of us that didn't have home training at home, they get in there, yo, man, I was visiting an auntie, man. Like, I was checking out the place, man. We gonna have to call the posse, man. See all this stuff we need to go take, man. It's us, man. And then they closed up Logan's Roadhouse. They closed up TGI Fridays. It just got too thuggish, and the rest of the places, and quite a few up and down this strip from 365 to Hacks Cross, have all closed up. Olive Garden's getting ready to go under. Man, I was in there a couple of weeks ago. My niece and I, she's a grandmother, so she's not a young woman. She was in there with me. She said, do you hear what they're doing? I said, yeah. Hey, man, Stomp, man. You get that tail off of Tamika last night, man. Hey. I said, young brother, can you go walk over there? You don't have to yell across this parking lot. There are children out here. Who you, man? I said, I'm Judge Joe Brown, fool. Stop this. Oh, man, Judge, yeah, you know, show some respect, man. Don't be yelling this over here. See, so, I mean, it's like a whole bunch of mess is going on. And see, the same people that own most of the city council, which is predominantly black in Memphis, and most of the county commission, which is predominantly black in Shelby County, these folk have been taking bribes so tough, you know, or they don't want to be outed from their closet for their questioning episodes, that they're surrogates for this group anyway. And see, the Republicans and the Democrats, they're doing wife swapping stuff, you know, or they're exchanging with each other, and they're doing the B thing. Unbelt, drop breeches, drop boxers, bend, spread butt cheeks, and do the boy bang, or unbra, drop bloomers, butt on bench, buck knees, and bust beaver. You know, that's what's going on. So, I mean, it's sick.
Yeah. Judge Joe Brown, I have a question.
Go ahead. But I mean, and that's what's happening up here in Mason. They're trying to just move that up there. And one of the mayors, I think it's Tipton County, we found out bought 550 acres worth of land between Mason and in this area where they're going to be building all this stuff. These folk are lining up to make a fortune. But you see, the significance is Cadillac is located an electric car manufacturer in West Tennessee. Ford's got one here, and they're trying to expand into a worldwide market, and that will bring billions of dollars in cash flow if there's somebody, someplace in around here that knows what to do with it, that will make this place a mecca for black folk. So instead of us running around talking about, man, we need some land, well, how are you going to sustain it? Well, man, they need to give us some land because we deserve it. Why? You can't take it. You can't hold it. You think you're going to keep it that way? Well, yeah, man, we need the farming. So you're going to be like every other farmer in the United States, depend on the federal government for a handout. And you're talking about they're going to let you have one or two states all your own, and outside of that government, you need to deal with the 21st century high tech and industry. And see, UT has got a contract from the federal government in cooperation with Ford and Cadillac to go train youth of this state into chemistry, physics, science, engineering, and math to deal with electric propulsion of vehicles. And of course, they aren't even thinking about targeting young black students who could get advantage of this. These factories are not going to be up and running for 4 to 5 years, so that's enough time to get a college education. And if we can get some young black folk in to something new, that's like the dot-com revolution. There ain't 55 different family groups, every area that have deep pockets that already monopolize the field. It's brand new. And we could be in on the bottom of it, but we're not thinking, and our leadership doesn't know what the hell it's about because there's some unsophisticated bumpkins that have been bought off, and all they are is some lapdogs hanging around in a circle, sitting on their ass with their tails wagging, tongues hanging out. Boss, can I have a bacon bit, boss? Can I roll on my back and you scratch my stomach for me, boss? Sure would be nice.
Right. Wow. So do you feel like the blacks are pushed into like a small segregated area where the white people in that area is being able to take over in that environment and keeping everything hostile, keeping all the hostile
well, maybe, but let me put it this way. Too many of the people that are engineering this have black faces. Wow. And too many of them are practitioners of that LGBTQ stuff. Oh. And what I'm looking at is LGBTQ is doing a very sophisticated manipulation of the political process. And they are using the black-white thing as camouflage, and nobody's getting a damn thing. You don't get it up in Nashville. You don't get it in Memphis. You don't get it in Knoxville. You don't get it in Chattanooga. And you don't get it in Jackson. And what's going on is the middle class in all of these areas, black or white, doesn't get a damn thing from their tax dollars. But it goes to certain big interests. Like, for example, why is it that all of the government entities in Tennessee pay all of their money into depositing it in First Horizon, which used to be First Tennessee? First Horizon isn't even an American bank. It's Canadian. So what the hell is the excuse? Why is that important? Because by federal banking regulations, your accounts have to be covered by a certain percentage of cash in your vaults or on credit with the Federal Reserve System. So First Horizon, having taken over First Tennessee about 3.5, 4 years ago, they are privy to this enormous flow of cash that comes through their concern, paid in by the governmental entities of the state of Tennessee. Equitably, there ought to be some black credit unions, some different white credit unions and banks, Wells Fargo, which is national, Regions, which is regional outside of Tennessee, and a Bank of America, which is national. They would do a better job, but they aren't getting a damn dime out of this stuff. And why is that important? Because black small businessmen, white small businessmen cannot get lines of credit, advances, financing to start, run, and operate businesses. See, it's bad. Wow. That has a negative impact on all of us. I don't know about you, but have you checked out the sales tax lately? And see,
Right.
here's the other thing about Mason. See, there's no state income tax in Tennessee. There is corporate income tax, there's property tax, and there's sales tax. So they're already getting ready to pass some legislation to give Ford and Cadillac a break on the sales tax they pay on buying raw materials. There's going to be an enormous amount of money generated as income, corporate income, in the billions of dollars. And all of that corporate taxation is going to be deposited in First Horizon, which ups the percentage of cash relative, well, the accounts they can generate, which will go right back to the same Turley, Belts, Fogelman bunch in the state of Tennessee, where they have been exploiting this area for a long time for personal gain. For example, when you come to Memphis, you see the pyramid downtown. There's an A.W. Willis Bridge that goes over to Mud Island. In 1988, there was a stop sign at the intersection of the main road going into the residential development. It was a corner stop sign. The city of Memphis sold that stop sign corner to a developer for $14,600. Within 3 months, he sold it back to the city of Memphis for $6.8 million. What the hell was that about? That was an opportunity for tax dollars to be spent. It went to the developer, and he passed it out under the table to the charlatans and Negroes and white folk that acted in cahoots with each other on the city council. See, that's how this stuff works. Sidney Schlinker got brought in to do the pyramid here in Memphis. The pyramid was supposed to be on the south bluff of Memphis, where the Rivermark Hotel, the Rivermark condominium is. It used to be the Rivermont Hotel, which was a flagship hotel for the Holiday Inn that used to be headquartered in Memphis. Well, Holiday Inn wanted to get rid of the property, so the city was going to lease the area. And they were going to put in a pyramid that was the same size as the ancient Cheops pyramid in Memphis, Egypt. Well, Turley, Belts, and Fogelman and that bunch acquired some property down there, literally 7 feet below the average Mississippi River level, protected by a levee. And they put the pyramid in that was developed by Sidney Schlinker, who had been doing this all over the country, just get government or municipal money going into building something that had no long-range prospects, and they built the pyramid 1/2 the intended width on each side. The acoustics were horrible. You couldn't get a good seat. If they had a sporting event, the quality of your seats, don't care where they were piss poor. So what did the city of Memphis do? For $1 up front, they gave that pyramid to Bass Pro. They pay them $1 a year and supposedly 4 to 6% of their net. And the accountants always zero it out. So Bass Pro got an $85 million structure that they've got Bass Pro on. You can see it for miles, and they run it. And they've got another Bass Pro on Sycamore and I-40, and that's been open for 45 years. And if you go through there are only 2 black employees. One's the janitor, and the other one's the maid. And we give it away. You see, there was $35 million. I'm just talking about Memphis. You got the same kind of boondoggles up in Nashville, Chattanooga, and Knoxville too. $35 million was spent on opening up what's known as Beale Street Landing on Riverside and Beale Street, summer of 2014. The city paid $35 million for what was supposed to be a gift shop, a bar, and a grill. And the person that the city contracted to run this thing with also got the money for building it. Well, he decided he didn't want to run it, so he bailed. So by law, the city can't operate a bar and a grill. So now we're stuck with a $35 million elephant, and nobody is even suing the son of a bitch to get the city's money back. There's a giant catfish jungle gym out there. Memphis tried to bring in a new airline. It wasn't even incorporated. So they gave him a $28 million office building that the clowns sold on their hustle for $32 million. City didn't get a dime. They didn't even wind up incorporating. They never even incorporated, let alone open up an airline here. So some of the city council got some of the money under the table. See how it works?
Wow.
So you got $300-some million that the city of Memphis spent in 2017, last I checked, and it didn't go anywhere. Nobody, middle class, black, white, brown, red, yellow, got one dime. We have an incompetent ass named Strickland, who is mayor of Memphis. Now, do you know what percentage of the registered voters in Memphis are white? It's only 19.1%.
So a bunch
Registered
of black
voters for
folks
Shelby County, only 28.4% white. How the hell do they run the DA's office and taking back all of these clerkships, and they have the city mayor's office? And how about this one? They said, Associated Press said it didn't happen, but the Justice Department under Bush, Obama, and Trump declared that the voting machines in Shelby County are hopelessly corrupted and there hasn't been a fair election since 2000. They put the money up in 2008 to replace every one of these damn machines. Have those machines been purchased? Well, 3 years ago, the county commission got threatened with individual lawsuits against them under the Trump administration, so they bought the machines, but they sit in a warehouse and the old ones are still being used, and every time it comes up for a majority resolution, you think it's the white people? No, it's at least 3 black Democrats who vote against replacing the machines as the actual devices, and it varies. This has been going on for 14 years. Because there are term limits. So you got 3 Negroes that rank the works and they are corrupt. Okay, let's get another example. You've got similar things up in Nashville. Jeff Davis and Nathan Bedford Forrest, 2 of the worst racists going. President of the Confederacy and operator of the largest slave trading business in America before the Civil War. Perpetrator of the Fort Pillow Massacre and founder of the KKK. Get rid of them. Well, the state passed a law saying you could not take Johnny Reb statutes off of public parks. So Tammy Sawyer here, who was on the county commission and decided to get a resolution passed that would allow these 2 parks. One of them's on the bluff by the river next to the Metal Museum. That's Jeff. And one of them is right in the midst of the hospital complex on Union Avenue. That's Nathan. Allow these parks to be sold to a private entity. Van Turner Incorporated, a so-called charity whose purpose is to operate Memphis parks. Yeah. But interestingly enough, Tammy Sawyer's brother, half brother, gets paid $5,000 a month to store Nathan and Jeff instead of giving them to a Confederate museum. And they've been offered this corporate entity up to $25 million by developers to convey the property that they hold in fee simple to them. You know how much they paid for the properties? $2,500 each. No bid. There ain't nothing but crookedness. Hell, I would have written them a 10 grand check each, as soon as I heard it. but they got $5,000 for $25 million worth of property.
Wow.
See,
So
that's
bad.
how the corruption in Tennessee works. That's why nobody has money, and that's why nothing gets done. So the Republican and Democratic parties are at each other, but they're not doing this, they're doing that. Because if you go to some functions, you'll see Republican males dancing with Democratic males, and they're rubbing each other's butt cheeks, and Republican women dancing with Democratic women and got tongues stuck down each other's throats. Not all of them, but too many of them.
That's wild.
Memphis,
Hold on.
they've turned the school system over to Teach America, a private entity. And Teach America says teachers no longer have to have a 4-year degree. All they need is a 2-year degree. And Teach America has been delegated the responsibility to train the teachers, select the teachers, and assign the teachers. The teachers start at $28,000 to $32,000 a year, which that's poverty level. They get no insurance, no retirement. But what happens is if they teach 2 years in the inner city, then their student loans are excused. So they'll go back to school after they finish and put their boyfriends or fiancés through law school, medical school, dental school, getting an MBA, getting set up in business. That's the way it works. So nobody gets a damn thing. Give you a stat I bet none of you are aware of. Which state in the United States is number 4 in per capita millionaires after New York, California, and Florida?
Is it
Tennessee? Tennessee. We're number 4 nationally in per capita millionaires. Go drive through some of the well-off areas in Nashville, Davidson County. Go drive through Shelby County or East Memphis, and you see what's going on. This great discrepancy in income where one half of the township has one of the highest per capita incomes in the United States, and the other side, one of the lowest.
That's mad. That's mad. Real quick.
See, that's the way it works in this town.
Judge, we brought upon one of your familiar faces right there. That's our CEO, DJ Strong, and Livation Radio Network.
Peace and respect.
Good to see you, boss.
Hey, peace and respect, man. I just popped in, KY.
All right.
This is such an intriguing conversation with the judge. As always, thank you for joining us on the Livation Network and the Real to Real 360. Peace to the guys. Peace to all of our listeners and viewers. Real quick, Judge, I've just passed it through. Just wanted to say hello and much respect to you. And we need you, Judge. We need you on network television, man.
I'll tell you where they're trying to get me. I agreed to be recruited. No, I'm blackballed on that. They won't have me because I don't speak favorably to that LGBTQ agenda. Gay folk, they have absolute rights, but LGBTQ is a secular religion and a cult. And just like you can be a good Christian doesn't mean you supported Branch Davidian or Jim Jones and his Kool-Aid. By the way, what I have agreed to do is they've recruited me to run for mayor in Memphis, Tennessee in 2023. So that's JJB in 2023 for mayor of Memphis, Tennessee. Send Brown downtown.
Hey, real quick before I get out of here, I'm glad you said that. Now, tell the people as far as your campaign, like, what's going to be the basis of your campaign? What are you going to do different than the other mayors have done? And that's my question.
Well, I've been talking about it right now. You missed it. I was pointing out some stuff that I'm going to send some people to jail for committing, get TBI in there. I'm going to bring some industry in. I'm going to sink some turbines down in the Mississippi where we can get essentially free electric power without having to build a dam so that we can sell that to the surrounding states so that this area can become a mecca for Black folk in the South where there is money, opportunity, education. We will have influence in this state because we will have a deep economic circumstance. I'm going to restore civilian control to the police department, not civilian oversight. but control. Going to use the directorships to have a chief director. We're going to have a sub-director over homicide, uniform patrol, traffic, sex crimes, juvenile matters. I'm pushing for a woman that I am helping her run her campaign, Linda Harris, for district attorney. We've already worked up something to put the police to work to identifying potential leadership that might go thug if they aren't dealt with, turn them into a youthful interface between authority and their communities. We're going to do something about reforming juvenile justice because we've got a problem here, and it's Memphis and Shelby County Juvenile Court where they created a hybrid, nowhere else in the state has it, between the city court and the county general sessions court. And nobody from the city has looked into their interest, where they have privatized that place and they're trying to corrupt families to generate future business. We're going to do something about bringing in barge traffic from Europe, which is trying to get directly into Memphis instead of shipping it by container to the East Coast, where they got to take it off the boat. They've got to run it through customs, suffer a mob pillage, then put it on a train to go on the west side of the Appalachian mountain chain down to Memphis, where it gets shipped, passes through Nashville, and everything could go back in there. We could get these electric cars to be put on these barges, where the world's largest barge unloading facility, which can easily be transformed to loading facility, is on President's Island in Memphis. Ship the stuff down to the port of New Orleans, float them on to these ocean-going barge transports. So once they drop a load of barges off to come up the Mississippi, they can pick up another load going down the Mississippi, take them across the Atlantic, transship some of them in the Mediterranean, and take the rest of them through the Suez Canal to Asia, where they're trying to hit a heavy mark. Where you have distribution, you have the opportunity to manufacture. What with the energy thing I'm going to see gets put in here, we can start putting in factories here at Nashville, building up Jackson, so we will have manufacturing jobs where people will talk about starting at $36.80 an hour, and getting training and a lot of things that are intense, so the people can start hollering about $98.16 an hour or $111 an hour. So we can make some changes here. But these idiots around here, they're too used to getting little crumbs because they don't have anything going, so they get elected to an $18,000 to $24,000 a year job, hoping to become millionaires off of the graft and corruption that they deal with over the next few years when they keep getting returned over and over and over again. We had somebody here claiming that it would take $600,000 to get him in running for mayor and $600,000 to get him out. So he's bragging about it. So that's the kind of political thing we've got here, where the people are not being represented. Now, there are some good representatives, don't get me wrong, but too many of them are just crooks, white and black. And we have another demographic. 30-some% of the area population is now identified as Hispanic.
A growing population. But gentlemen,
and the other thing is, I think somebody needs to sink some cores down into these highways, I-40, I-55, whatever the case may be, and see if, in fact, the people who built them did, in fact, put down the proper foundation, or their low bids per mile were based on skimping on the foundation, which is why our roads in Tennessee go thump, 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 thump. You get to Mississippi and they go zzz, same 18-wheelers, because they don't scrimp. Who started that? Well, that movie Walking Tall about Buford Pusser, not the one with The Rock in it. It was a comedy, but the one where Pusser got murdered. The villain that they never named was Governor Ray Blanton. He ran the bootleg whiskey rackets. He ran the gambling rackets, the prostitution rackets, the highway rackets. And that's what a lot of people in Tennessee have made a lot of money from, is being involved in the highway rackets. You underbid on building the road, and your family business gets contracts and perpetuities to the repair of the damn things when they break down.
Wow.
Wow.
Hey
Judge
guys,
Joe Brown.
I got another commitment. I got to run, but I hate to leave because this is so engaging. But it's been a pleasure to see you once again, Judge Joe Brown. Good luck with the campaign. If I can zip up to Memphis and throw in an anonymous vote and get back, I would do that. But I know you're going to win. I know you're going to take it. And
well,
good luck.
we won't win if they don't replace these corrupt voting machines. And
Right.
we've got 452 people so far on the ballot this summer for the counties and state and federal elections. I'm not in this one. I'm next year. But it won't do any good if we don't bring pressure to bear and expose the county commission here in Memphis for their corruption and insisting that these corrupt machines continue to be used. In fact, it's so bad, California used to use them. Hawaii did, and they collaborated on an instruction manual that's still out there on the web where you can go in and get instructions on how to hack an election. All you need is a smartphone.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
All right, gentlemen. God bless everybody. Catch you later.
Right,
All right.
I want to only
all
LA
right.
Jackson.
Keep struggling. Power to the people. Keep on moving.
That's it.
Judge can do it.
Judge, with all the corruption and
one other thing, I gotta make one more.
Right, make it.
One more announcement. Judge Joe Brown, JJB.
Yes, sir.
Barbecue, BBQ.com. Go there, JJB. BBQ. Judge Joe Brown. Barbecue, JJB, BBQ.com. I've got a business. I'm gonna do service and sell sauce. Go there, and it's the best damn barbecue sauce you will have ever had. You can order it online, 1 jar, 3, or a whole pallet. We will be on the markets in some of the major grocery chains and health food chains too. In about 2 or 3 months, we will also have chicken links, uncooked and smoked. We have seasonings. We have other things. We will have cookers. We're going to go into this Beyond Meat vegetarian link thing, and the stuff's really good. In fact, they've even invented a new drink that I tried. You ever heard of a Bloody Mary? Of course you have. Where you use tomato juice and vodka, where you kind of thin out the barbecue sauce and add vodka.
I got one right here. JJB barbecue sauce and drinks.
There you go. So check it out. Do me a favor. I'm an old man. I'm 75 years old this year. So, hey, I'm trying to keep on pushing.
Yes, sir.
Keep my independent income going. There you go.
Hey,
by the way,
I volunteer to be official taste tester.
The packing plant's a black operation.
Congratulations.
And we have it produced by a black operation. So it's black business. Ain't fronting for nobody.
That's it. That's it.
All right, Jim, thank you. It was enjoyable.
All right, Judge Joe Brown. It was a pleasure to have you on tonight. And by all means, this is your home. Whenever you have anything that you want to discuss or bring to this forum, please, by all means, let us know so we can put you right back on the show, because today was very informative.
Absolutely.
I've got a Nashville connection. The tennis courts over there at Hadley Park are named after my uncle, James Watkins.
Okay.
And he used to be the coach for years and years with the undefeated basketball and football teams at Pearl High. And my aunt, Vivian Watkins, was vice principal over there, girls vice principal for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got a Nashville connection. They've been dead for, must be close to 30 years, but 25, 30 years. But yeah, Nashville's all right. I
Yeah,
used to live up there, but I had a job with the legal services program, but they fired me after 6 months after the director became firmly convinced that I was going to throw him out of the window of his office building for being a racist.
I wonder what happened on that day.
right.
Why would he ever think that, Judge?
Right. What came about with that?
Well, there's another side to me. I got a book that I'm gonna wait until I'm dead for my legacy to publish. Maybe make some money off of it. There's some fun things in there. But yeah,
wonder why.
Hey, Judge, before you go, I wanted to speak about over the years you have fought against racism, and I saw in one clip about 30, 40 years ago, you was in a juvenile judge's courtroom, and you was a lawyer. He didn't know you was a lawyer.
And
he called you the N-word.
That was the first appearance I had in Memphis and Shelby County Juvenile Court. It was about 1974.
Mm-hmm.
And I had some clients from legal services. A.C. Wharton was the director. He became mayor of Memphis a few years ago for one term. And I went down there, and juvenile court had been integrated for about 12, 14 months, just about a year. Before that, black lawyers could not go inside the courtroom without being invited in. So when I go down there, this fool is using all the N-word, this and that. Oh man, I just came in from Los Angeles, California, man. I ain't used to this shit, man, So I'm looking at the file, and this bailiff shakes my shoulder. Boy, the judge talking to you. I said, who the hell you calling boy? And the judge said, nigga, what you say to my bailiff? I said, fool, you redneck cracker, who the hell you calling boy? I'm on line. I said, you ain't putting a hand on me. You pull that gun, I'm putting it up your mama's ass. I said, I'm not on your goddamn docket. I'm a lawyer down here. I have 5 clients. And by the way, I've been running my tape on you. I'm going to report you to the Judiciary Committee for this use of foul language. So we had this tussle and backed down, but that fool Kenneth Turner was appointed juvenile court judge in 1963. He was the judge until 2006, and he was not even permitted to hear cases because he was a 6th grade dropout. He didn't even get, the only grade he finished was the 5th grade. So the Tennessee Supreme Court said he was too damn ignorant to understand arguments of counsel. So that deprived everybody of their right to have a lawyer unless you granted him specific written permission. So we started jacking his ass up about 1980, 81 with habeas corpus stuff. So what he did is he privatized the whole damn operation so he didn't have to do it. His employees could do it, and everything was on a contract. So we kept closing them down. They'd open back up, closing them down. And then in 1990, when I was a judge, 91, I closed them down. So we've had a war going on since. And most recently, there was a woman in there that came up to me, and our sons had a connection in college. And her problem was she was in her late 50s. But there had been somebody that had stalked her when she was not even 20 years old that she had to get away from. So this fool ran down there and claimed that he was the father of her daughter. Now, she had been married for 30-some years. She only had one child, and that was the boy. And they had issued an arrest warrant for her. It was rubber stamped. There was no affidavit of complaint. That's an automatic dismissal in Tennessee because the court doesn't even have jurisdiction. So I go in there trying to get her squared away. I see them violating some orders that I'd put in place 20-some years before. And I said, what the hell is going on up in here? So this clown, his name was Harold Horn, they call him Dirty Harry, who got hired as a referee straight out of law school, no experience in the practice of law, dirty bastard. This clown tells me he's got a golf tee time and he doesn't have time to be bothered with recalling the warrant. That's why I went off on his ass, so they locked me up for 5 days for contempt.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Judge,
I said, screw it. I won the case for the woman eventually, but I mean, you know, hey, it is what it is.
Before letting you go, I got a 2-part question, Judge. First one is, I'm pretty sure that with all your experience, I'm sure you have came across many of death threats or something in your line of path for what you've been doing. And
yeah. I'll tell you about one of them. I'm starting to publish. I used to have a place in Whitehaven, Blackhaven now in Memphis, and I was the judge on the James Earl Ray matter. I came home late one night. I'd been working on instructions for, I think it was a murder trial, and I was dead tired. I didn't even take off my jacket. I had a beer at my kitchen table, and where my kitchen table was located, I could see out the front and I could see out the back den area. So I fell asleep. And something woke me up, and I saw 2 shadows in the front, 3 in the back. I had a 9 in a shoulder holster, and I pulled the 45 out of the drawer and put that on the table. And they took a rubber spindle with an arm on it, ran a glass cutter around, and cut a circle out of my front window and one out of the back after they'd lifted screens out. Opened the windows. They had on black balaclavas, you know, ski mask things, but they were all black. Radio set up, pistol on the side, and bulked out with Kevlar. I said, what the hell? What are the police coming by here for at this time of night? I said, they aren't coming by here. I'm a goddamn criminal court judge. I said, they're trying to kill me. So they clicked on. And they came in. I waited till the first one was in the front. He was helping the second one in. The third one had come in quickly in the back, so I opened up on him. We had an exchange of about 35 shots. I didn't get hit, but I hit all 5 of them. And I like 9s now because the 45 wasn't getting through the Kevlar. So I started aiming for this and this. And I called up Director Winfrey, and he came by in the morning with a detective friend, both of them now deceased. That was 25 years ago.
Wow.
And we found half somebody's earlobe on the windowsill, 2 blood trails out front, 3 out back. And when Winfrey checked, somebody had basically deactivated the recording function of the dispatcher's services for 30 minutes in front and 30 minutes after, and there were no reports of anybody dealing with that. Brownsville. Wow. I had a young client back in the 80s, was 16 years old, beautiful. Oh, man, she's gorgeous now, but she's got a college education, MBA, and all that other stuff. But her granddaddy had left her 80,000 acres. It's up there right in that area in question we're talking about. So they had these rednecks who were leasing the stuff out at $10 for every 10,000 acres. So she was getting $80 for 80,000 acres. Well, the lease they had run out 40-some years before. So I directed her family and guardian to refuse to accept the proffered $80. And we got a guy named Tom Burrell, who was a corporate farmer, to come in and agree to give her quite a few thousands of dollars up front and a good percentage of the crop. So the white farmers that had been abusing the property went and got a permanent injunction ex parte. So we show up in Brownsville. The chancellor, it was kind of funny. Goddamn, Tommy boy, did you have me sign this here permanent injunction ex parte? Hell, you know I can't do that, son. Damn, what you trying to get me look like a fool? Well, Your Honor, Tommy, hell with it. Your Honor, I have here an order for the court. Your Honor, we object. What basis, Tommy? Well, counsel presuming that you was gonna go for what LL's tell us I got, Thomas. So anyway, we get the injunction. I put it in a briefcase. And Burrell had his farm crew bring in all these tractors and bulldozers and moved trees and boulders that they had used to block passage into this landlocked 15,000 acre area. So one guy went and called the sheriff on the payphone. So when the sheriff gets there, I got a 45 in my right hand and the 357 in my left, and the rest of my posse up with Burrell's folk, they got shotguns, and the other side's got shotguns, and everybody's drawing down. The sheriff gets, all right, goddamn. All right, everybody put their muzzles down. Just calm down. This thing got too out of hand. What the hell is going on up in here? I said, well, Sheriff so-and-so, right over there in the briefcase, you will find an order signed by Chancellor so-and-so. There is a copy certified just for you, sir. And these people are trespassing. Let me see. Let me put them muzzles down. Damn, man. Y'all boys is trespassing on these people's property. You better get off before I got to run you in and put them muzzles down. Used to be very interesting.
Last thing, Judge, and we're gonna go the second part. Second part.
That was fun. I've had an exciting life.
How do you feel right now in the current state where we are looking at what's the name? Ketanji Brown Jackson to the Supreme Court. How you feel in relations with that right now when in the course of how America's
I don't want to say too much about it, but let me say this. I mentored and I know well some black lady federal appellate court judges that should have gotten a nomination. First off, this woman has not done a damn thing for her people. There was no activity when she was in college. There was none as a lawyer. She has a thing about LGBTQ, and there are a whole bunch of cases where she has reduced sentencing, voted to cut loose convicted pedophile scoundrels. And I know some black judges that one of them, first black federal judge in his state, he just said, hey, this is not the one. What she is for the far left is somebody like Clarence Thomas, who was picked by the far right. In other words, no one would dare go against somebody black, so you don't get someone in who's going to help black folk out. You got someone in who would help the far right out. Yes, honor Clarence Thomas. Now, I'm older than he is, and they tried to recruit me to Yale Law School, which I would not go to, a couple of years before they got him, because they wanted somebody black who would be willing to help them set up a minority admissions program, which he got in under. He's voted against affirmative action ever since. And this woman looks like she's going to be the same kind of somebody for the far left. Read LGBTQ, read some other crazy stuff, read anti-Second Amendment, anti-Fourth Amendment, anti-Fifth Amendment. That's the right to be free from self-incrimination to 5. That's what they did wrong to Cosby. Fourth Amendment is search and seizure. Second Amendment is, you're going to need to arm yourself. Nobody can protect us from the inner city violence and the policies these idiots come up with, which is more emasculation, do not help, because masculinity is something that teaches the boy about duty, honor, responsibility, accountability, rational, logical reasoning, thinking, making where he lives a better, safer, more secure place filled with economic prosperity, sense of purpose, obligation to support women and children and protect them, and make where he lives a better place. See, we don't teach that now, and their solution is more of the same. And that's just going to make stuff worse, because these boys are out of control. They have not been taught manly duty and obligation. And see, I don't like this woman for her track record in that, but who am I to say? I just think hell, they should have asked Bernice Donald, her honor on the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals, that I mentored when she first got out of law school. She's an excellent jurist, written some great opinions and done a lot of stuff for the community. There's a woman up on the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, Judge Clifton. Hell, I know her, known her husband for the longest time. Hell, her husband mentored me in law school. He was a judge too. Good woman. And they should have given her the call. And there are some others scattered around the country that I think would have been a lot better for the position, who have a demonstrated track record of doing something for black folk and who don't have a white spouse. And let's take Clarence Thomas. You know who was best man at his last wedding? Rush Limbaugh.
Wow. Wow.
You know who was Rush Limbaugh's best man at the last wedding he had? Clarence Thomas. And did you see her white husband all in tears? He's so happy that she got this. And I'm looking at this like, what's the matter? You know, Thurgood Marshall got appointed back in the 60s, and Mr. Baseball Bat, you know why they called him Baseball Bat, by the way?
No,
What?
sir.
Because he always said, whenever I get there to help you out, I want two things: a Louisville Slugger, 32 inches, and I want a 12-gauge shotgun and some buckshot. And Thurgood Marshall was famous for whipping some ass with a baseball bat when the KKK or the White Citizens Council came after him. He was no joke.
Wow.
Jackie Robinson went through UCLA. He never played baseball. He was All-American running track. He held a 100-yard dash, 220-yard dash record. He was All-American as a halfback. In the same backfield was Kenny Washington, who was the quarterback. He was All-American. In the same backfield was Don Barksdale, who was a wide receiver and ran the 440 and the high hurdles. Now, why is that important? Well, Jackie Robinson, out of that backfield, became the first brother in Major League Baseball with the Dodgers. Kenny Washington was the first brother in the NFL with the Rams. And Don Barksdale was the first brother in the NBA with the Lakers. And all of them play in L.A. now, interestingly enough. But the interesting story is when Jackie Robinson got out of UCLA, he had a scholarship from ROTC, so he accepted a commission as an officer. He waived an objection physically because he had a bad ankle, got hurt playing football. He went to the 10th Cavalry. When he was a captain, he went over to the 761st Armored Regiment, which is the second most highly decorated unit in U.S. Army history. They were known as Patton's Panthers, which is where the Deacons for Defense and Justice got their Panther thing. And then the Black Panther Party got that from. That was their emblem that the Panthers still use. And what went on is he was officer of the day at the base. So a fellow officer had a visit by the wife. So the wife needed to go home. It was a racist Texas town. Jackie Robinson took a cab home with her, and then to come back, he got on the bus. They told him to go to the back of the bus. He still was in uniform, had his 1911 on his hip. And the testimony at the trial, the court martial they had, was he pulled it out, racked around in the chamber, and said, some MF is going to die tonight besides me. And I ain't moving to the back of any GD bus. So they court-martialed him. He got acquitted, so he revoked his waiver of the physical infirmity with his ankle. So one of the other black officers said, Captain, what you gonna do? He said, I don't know. He said, well, why don't you go down there to the Negro League? So many have been drafted. He said, I've never played baseball a day in my life. He said, but when you at bat, Captain, everybody backs up 15 feet. And there's nobody in America faster from one base to another than you. You hold all the records, so the rest is history. But you see, it wasn't Rosa Parks who was first to not move to the back of the bus, but it was 1943. At least Jackie Robinson, who got court-martialed, and he wasn't being nonviolent. He had his 45 auto out with a round in the chamber, amber back, saying, "Some MF gonna die tonight besides me."
He wasn't going by himself.
No, going by himself. So we don't recognize these black men as to what they do. You see, it's all about some sister doing it, or excuse me, some preacher down on his knees praying while some redneck is whipping him across the head until some other rednecks feel guilty about it. So bottom line is that's not a struggle. That's getting your ass whooped. So we need some black men who would, and I'm 75 this year, this July. And it's been my lifetime thing. I grew up in South Central LA. I had some ups and downs, a whole lot of fights. So my thing is they can take my ass out, but maybe I got some white in me, which obviously, as pale as my ass is somewhere in the family. We all going to Valhalla, goddammit. I ain't going down on my goddamn knees.
And you ain't going by yourself from what I heard, Jay.
Ain't going by my goddamn self. Somebody going with me. Oh, yeah.
Wow. Much respect.
Wow.
Y'all, we's all gone. Ain't nobody getting out this motherfucker alive. Everybody gonna be dead. Might as well go out with your boots on, goddammit.
Lace them up tight. It's gonna be a long night.
Long night.
Well, Judge, if you could just stick around we're getting ready to wrap this show up, and you just stick around to the after part for a few minutes for a commercial drop. We would appreciate it.
Yeah, okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, to my CEO, DJ Strong and Liveation Radio Network, my partner in God, my brother Joshua Allah, and to the unconquerable, I say again, unconquerable, and I'm going to add another unstoppable, the Honorable Judge Joe Brown. It has been an enlightening and electrifying and historical moment of your wisdom. We salute you. And again, here at the Real 360, you have a home base. If ever you need us, please don't hesitate to call on us. We will do what we can for you, with you, and stand by you. I just can't say no more. I'm in awe right now. I feel like I was back in junior high school getting a whole nother lesson in history that I just never knew existed. And I appreciate that. Appreciate you very much, Your Honor. I appreciate that. So if anybody else has anything to say on the panel, the floor will be yours, and then we'll be out.
Well, just take us out, Kay, so we can get this drop, so we can definitely have this conversation with Judge Joe Brown behind the scenes.
Yes, indeed. I gotta go. This has been Judge Joe.
That is.
Peace, ladies and gentlemen. I thank you all for tuning in with us on the Real 360. And once again, peace and blessings to everybody, to our panel, and to our special guest. This is DJ K Wise, Real 360. We are out. Peace.